The Madness Comic Network and comic-related madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pox Van Zandt on YouTube.
Hello, everybody. I'm here. I just had to give you the stare for just a second. Hi, it's Tuesday. It's the Tuesday Morning Brew. I hope you have some coffee. We're going to have a great talk today. I have an awesome guest who actually I've been looking forward to talking to for months. He was live. When were you live, Mark? It's been a little while. He had a campaign on Kickstarter, and that's when he reached out. But of course, the brew has been booked for years and years and years. Just kidding. It's actually booked out to Cosmac. Hey, I got your email. I'm going to text you today. I was tied up yesterday, but hey, hello, I gotcha. Anyway, I wasn't able to get him on the show because we're booked out till like February at this point. And yeah, so long story short, he's here today. I don't know if you noticed, I'm wearing a beautiful Zombie Ween t-shirt. Shout out to my friends at the Zombie Book Club. And if you like zombie genre like I do, they that's what their podcast is. They interview zombie creators, like not only just comic books, but novelists and writers and filmmakers, anything, enthusiasts, cosplayers. They do everything zombie, and it's super cool. And in October, we did a game show. It's the second annual game show. Good morning, Lou. And I won the first year. So I was the returning champion coming back and meeting all these new people and trying, you know how you have to be like this much crazy so that way you win the contest, but try not to scare the people. Yeah, that was me. And I came so close to winning. I thought I had clinched it. I gave a motivational speech to my troops who were going to go, hey, good morning, everyone on everything. I was giving an inspirational speech to the troops that were going to go fight the zombie horde. And I did the Aragorn speech to the joint, going to fight, and like, today is not that day that the fear of man takes you, blah, blah. Anyway, I did the whole speech and I thought and I lost. So I was so close. But I always have a blast on that show. So anytime they invite me on, I jump at the opportunity to go on to the Zombie Book Club. So anyway, that's what I got going on. I'm going to be updating my website today. I have all this merch that if you haven't seen me at cons, you probably don't know exists. I have puzzles. In fact, if you look at, I was just tagged in a post yesterday. One of the backers from issue number 5 finished got the puzzle and finished it and posted the back. And I was like, oh my God, check that down. Because there's a secret message on the back. And if you want to know what the secret message is, you have to get the puzzle. So I have more things coming. I'm going to be doing a Big James puzzle for next campaign. But I don't know if you know some of these things. I have like pencil bags with the poker card back on it. I have these really cool. I know you guys will like these. Check it out. I have these canvas bags. It's Path of the Pale Rider. But I have one that says, "Can I pet that dog?" That's funny. And I got a bunch of t-shirts and hats, and I'm going to get everything up on the website so you guys can go shopping. I should have done that for Black Friday, but I was recuperating from, building a feast for 9 people from scratch. So anyway, Path of the Pale Rider number 5 has been fulfilled. I have like 2 boxes. One with a t-shirt issue, which we're fixing, and the other one is a retailer that I'm going to drop off in person. But other than that, the books are out. Everybody's getting their stuff, which is great. And my living room looks like Joe Neerman's. I don't know who Joe Neerman is, but does he have a piano? Piano's on this side. It's a green screen. It's not there. It's just pretend. So I look forward to getting on some podcasts and talking about the inner workings of issue 5 and all the crazy things that are in there that you may not have noticed. So we're going to talk about it, and we're definitely going to talk about the dog. If you haven't read it, you got to read it because you got to find out about the dog, and we'll talk about it because if you're in the Facebook group, I don't know if you know this, but you guys named that dog, and that dog is going to show up later. So I would say good morning, Woody, but that doesn't sound right. Whoa. All right. So let's bring in today's guest. That's enough about me. Let's talk with Mark. Good morning, Mark. How are you, man?
Good morning. I am
Welcome.
good.
Yeah, you have that radio good voice. I noticed, by the way.
It's the mic. I just have a setting. There's
it?
one for Batman and one for Little Bo Peep. I can set it
I need
wherever I
that
want.
setting. That would be great to be like, I am Batman. Does it have a Michael Keaton versus Christian Bale Batman?
Yeah,
as long as it's not
it has the ridiculous one.
not the George Clooney or the Val Kilmer Batmans. Okay, the rest of them okay.
You know, I was watching an episode of Big Bang Theory the other day, and they were going through the Batmans, and they totally overlooked the Val Kilmer Batman.
They were like, that's purged from our memory. It doesn't exist.
It wasn't even mentioned.
Doesn't even exist. We don't even acknowledge him.
I've been binging the Big Bang Theory, just trying to, because I never saw the later seasons, so I thought I'll just start from the beginning, and it's something I can have running in the background, just listening to it while I work.
Yeah.
So
I was just thinking I need to get like Audible, but but then you can't have comic books on Audible, but can you? I don't know.
I don't think you can. I have Audible, and I use it a lot. I can make, once you get on Audible, I can make all kinds of great suggestions.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll be talking.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the show. Tell everybody who you are. And of course, if you've watched the show, you know that we always start with your origin story. So I want to know, like, what started you into comics? What were you reading? What influenced you? And then ultimately, what pushed you to start writing, to do it, to like make your own comic, man?
Well, when like growing up, I always liked the comic book worlds, right? Like when I was a kid, you get into like the Spider-Man cartoons and the toys, and you get onto all that first, right? That's how I got into it as a kid. And as I got older, I wanted to get into comics, but I didn't know how to start. So I was probably, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 years old. And my mom bought me a comic book because I picked one, because I was like, can I get that? And she bought me, I didn't know what to get. So she picked me up a Daredevil book.
Ooh.
And I remember reading it in the backseat of the car, and I was like, I don't get it. It was too dark and too adult. And
How old were you?
I was probably more like 8 or 9 years old.
Okay.
It was too deep for me. It was like I think he was fighting Typhoid Mary, and it was like in a sewer. Anyway, it was like intense. And as a kid, I didn't get it. So I was like, maybe comic books aren't for me, right?
Oh,
So
no.
I stopped for a long time. And then a comic book store opened up basically like down the street from where I live. So I just walked over there one day, and it's actually right beside where I get on for the bus to go anywhere. So I was like, I just got on there, went in one day. And he's like, cool, do you read comics? I was like, no, but I want to.
At least you're honest. You're like, no, man.
Try this. I was 15. At this
half the time you go in there and you don't know where to start. Like, I know what I like, but I don't know what's in most of these.
Yeah.
And
And
so
I was an
having
easy
that
sale.
Conversation.
Like, I was 13. I was an easy sale. I was like, I want to get into comic books. How can you help me
Babes.
get into comic books, right? And
Babes.
he's like, well, this just came out. It's popular. It's Spider-Man. It was Spider-Man #1 Torment, illustrated by Todd McFarlane. So that's
so
that's how I got
back.
into it, right? So that's how I got into it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is great. So then after that, I became like a regular at that store. And then I started looking for more comic book stores, and I started going there. And then it became a regular thing. Then I learned about comic book Wednesdays. And so, because at first I used to buy all my comic books on Saturday, because they had a little stand at the flea market that was quite a walk. Actually, it was probably like a 30-45 minute walk away from my house. But every Saturday, me and my nephew, I was 13, he was 9, and we walked 45 minutes to this flea market and they had a little comic book booth set up in there. So we'd go in there and we'd buy the latest comics, and it was great. So that's what I used to do. And then after that, I got so into it, like I was really into it. I once I found Wizard magazine, I was reading all the like, what are these key issues? And then I'd be like, oh, now I want to go find those. So then I'd go through old bins, and I was like, I want to read this old Spider-Man story. I want to read these old Superman stories.
Cool.
So I have a lot of old issues because I was always curious of what happened.
Yeah.
When did that happen? Well, right now you could wiki it, but back then wiki didn't exist. The internet didn't exist. So
now you had to go find this thing. Yeah.
So I'd go find those stories and read them. And Wizard magazine guided me to them, right?
Nice.
So after that, I wanted to get into as an illustrator because I am an artist. Like I grew up drawing. I've been drawing my entire life, but I quickly learned that sequential art isn't my thing. So, so I decided, oh, maybe this is not my path. It's not the way to go. So then as I got older, I decided, like, now I'm in my 30s at some point. 30s? Yeah, it was in my 30s where I decided hey, there's my wife.
Hi. I know. I was like, I know that name.
So, hi, Brittany. So, anyways, my 30s hit, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to try get in as a writer, but I don't know how to do this. So first thing I'm going to do is just write a script. Came up with an idea, wrote a script, and I was like, now I got to find an artist. I know a lot of artist friends. I asked them if they want to work on it with me. They said yes, but it was too much work. So they kind of like fell off. It wasn't personal. It wasn't like we had a falling out. I was still friends with them. We had some of them still did like guest covers on So-Called Living. So I couldn't get an artist, and I couldn't find the right artist, and I couldn't afford to pay an artist at the time. So I was looking for a partner. So I was like, I'm just gonna put it away. So I put it away for like 12 years, and then later I picked it up, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to find an artist online. I'm just gonna pay him outright to do these pages, like a work for hire, and that's what I did. So then I eventually, it was a tricky road. That's a whole other story. If you want to get into that later, how I found Marco who drew So-Called Living. He did these. I have issues 1 and 2 here.
Cool.
So like he drew those, and it's been great ever since. So he's done 4 issues with me, and all goes well, he'll do issues 5 and 6. Like he's planned to do he's planned to do the 8 issues. So
that's always the plan.
So everything's going so well so far.
But you know what, though? I find that when you're established and your audience is there, I'm speaking from experience because I just recently had to switch interior artists after 4 issues. And it's funny because my artist for the first 4, his name is Marco.
Oh, okay.
And then life just happens, and things got so busy for him, and I wanted to pick up speed, and he just had too much on his plate. And so he and I mean, again, it's the same thing. Like, we didn't have a falling out. We're still buddies. We see each other at cons because we're local to each other, which was weird. But now I have a new artist, Gilbert Perez, who is also wonderful. And so I really don't think it slowed us down at all. It just continues. You know what I mean?
I think it's important to keep those good relationships. Like, there are stories where people screw each other over, but like, those are terrible. But like, I haven't been involved in any of those. And I was close. I started working with somebody, and I was looking at his portfolio, and I was like, yeah, let's do this. Your stuff looks great. So we started working. Lucky I didn't pay him anything yet. So we started working, and he's like, yeah, what style do you want? I was like, what do you mean? I want your style. What I saw in your portfolio, your style. And then he's like, okay. So he starts drawing. And I was like, okay, he was doing really rough. So I was like, okay, this is good. But I was like, I'd like to see some character designs from you to see how you would look. How would you take these characters? I did these character descriptions.
Right.
So, and then he draws it, and he's like, okay, well, he keeps saying, what style would you like? I was like, I'm so confused.
You don't have a set style?
I sent him images of his work. And I was like this
style.
This is your work. This
the one you sent me.
He's like, oh, but we can do
red flag.
We could do anything different. I was like, hey. I understand we can, but that's not why I contacted you. I saw your portfolio, and I wanted you to hire you to do this.
Right.
And then he's talking circles, and I'm like, I'm really confused.
Yeah, we're done.
Like, what's happening? So he sends me a sample, and I was like, did you actually do this work? I confronted him one point, and he was like, well, I inked it. So I was like, hold on.
Okay, so no.
You inked somebody else's pencils. You knew that's not where you were selling.
That was deceiving.
Yeah, because I was like, how long were you going to talk circles around that?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I don't know. It probably he was waiting for you to send a check, and then he would have come clean, and then he wouldn't have sent your money back.
Yeah,
I've called out people on the internet too. Someone showed up in my DMs and they sent me a portfolio. And first of all the stuff was all over the place. And then there's a piece of art from a comic book that my friend does.
yeah.
And I was like, what? And I was like, oh, that's it. And I just went after him. We all blasted him on the internet. Like, but they just take down that account and they put up another one. So it's not like, we slowed him down for a day. But it's just so terrible, some of the practices. It's so easy just to like pull images from the internet and claim that they're yours.
Yep. And I like my day job, like most of my career, I've worked in the video game industry for like 25 years.
Yeah. How does that work? Can people steal each other's work that way too?
Oh, well, here's the thing. In the industry, people don't really steal each other's work. There's the odd case where somebody rips something off the internet and you find it. It's so rare and such a little minuscule thing. But when you get portfolios sent to you, like, because I was art director and creative director for most of my career, so I hired a lot of artists.
Yeah.
And I'd get portfolios where people would literally copy paste like this character from this scene and they'd put it against another background. It's like the styles didn't match at all. They just kind of paper cut on top of each other. And I was like, this is the scene I asked for, but I was like, none of this is your work. And there was a helicopter in the scene. I literally Googled helicopter. I was like, your helicopter is the first image that comes up when you Google helicopter.
They didn't even try very hard to hide it.
And you put a filter on it, like a Photoshop illustration filter. It looks terrible. I was like, I've been doing this for 25 years. I can pick out a Photoshop Illustrator file. Like, who do you think you're applying to?
That's funny.
Right? Like, you're applying to a legit video game studio. So I was like, you can't hand off other people's work as your own.
No.
And her response was, oh, really? You can't? It's like, no.
Oh, plagiarism is a thing? Oh.
So
yeah.
That was
wow.
But anyways, you get a lot of that, but most of it you ignore. But this one I had to call out. I was like, this is just ridiculous.
I'm with you. Usually I don't even give them the time of day. Every now and again, someone catches me in a mood and I'm like, get him, like and I just let him have it. Like, this is, and I usually try to make him feel guilty. I'm like, how dare you try to scam people out of things and present work that's not yours? And you're trying to, how do you sleep at night? I'll pray for you. And like, black.
But yeah, so I'm happy that I found Marco. Marco's been doing a great job. He's been getting better with every issue.
Where did you find Marco?
Well, first of all, Marco's in Italy, so we're definitely not local. We're not going to be bumping into each other. We don't speak the same language. I don't speak Italian. I do speak Portuguese, but that's not going to help.
How do you communicate?
We do email. So I don't know if he's using Google Translate.
Yeah.
But we do okay versus email. Sometimes there's certain things lost. Yeah. And then at that point, like when I'm describing panels and he draws something, I was like, it's not quite. So I'll draw it myself, like a rough, and I'll be like this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we do love Marco. And one of the things that I actually has been working out great. If I can't Google image search the thing, like I was trying to explain to him, like sometimes I'll explain to him high five. So I'll Google image, people giving each other high five. And sometimes you get the worst, like the worst stock photography. He was like, how's that a high five? Like, I don't care if it's got the words over it. I just want to show him as examples. He's not going to trace it. I just this is a high five. Sometimes I'll take a picture of myself with my web camera.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this because then he'll think it's like praying or something. So I was like, no, that's not right. So I Google it, and if I can't find a Google one, I'll use actually Dolly to create an AI image of. I was like, I need a character on his knees punching another guy in the face. And I was like, and then it generates something. Doesn't have to be pretty, just has to get the idea across. I was like, this is what I meant. So I've been using AI art as a tool to communicate to him that I can't explain to him any other way because of the language barrier, or I can't find the right image. So I'll just create my own image or get close and draw on top of it and be like, this is what I mean. So I've been using it as like a translator tool.
I mean, like that to me is so important to be able to communicate. And I didn't see any issues. Like I've read your first, couple issues, And that's why I was like, I didn't realize you guys didn't even speak the same language. Who's lettering your book then? Is it you?
Well, there is. I've actually never really talked to her. She's a
I'm
friend
sorry,
of Marco's.
what?
She's a friend of Marco's. Her name's Simona. I actually
Okay.
have to look. I keep forgetting her name because I talked to Marco a lot, but I actually never talked to her. So I don't know if she knows any English at all. So she takes my script and she just puts it in the bubbles. And
Okay.
there are certain things like, there's a few things that it might be in my script that she copy and pasted that she probably wouldn't even notice because English is not her first language.
Right.
So like I have to read it and catch it. And there are some things like Simone was great for the lettering the bubbles, but there are certain times I get in there and I'll do some of the sound effects lettering myself.
Gotcha. That was
So
my next question is, and then who's doing the SFX?
yeah, I do most of them.
Okay.
So I think she's like, I do probably 95% of the sound effects that are in the book. And I'd had to teach myself. I was like, what's a good way to do this? So I find they're actually getting better. So in issues like 3 and 4, I think the sound effects are even better than they are in the 1 and 2. So yeah, that was that. So that Simona does the lettering. She's been doing a great job, and it's like a thankless job because not a lot of people even ask about it. Like you people appreciate it. You notice when it's bad, but when it's good, you don't. And that's the point.
That is, yes. Nem, good morning, sir.
Good
Hey,
morning.
I got a question for you later, Nem. So don't let me forget. But I'm with you. I letter my book, and so it's a thankless position. It's like if you do it right, nobody pays attention.
Mhm.
But if you mess it up, everybody will notice. So it's like you gotta pay attention.
There's the odd panel she'll do that I was like, I think I'd like this slightly different, and then
Yeah.
I'll adjust it. But majority is like where the bubbles are is where she placed them. Some cases, once the book is put together and I see like, oh, I want to add another line here, it doesn't feel right, then I'll have to move some of her bubbles around because I was like, well, I'm not going to bother sending her the script for this. I'll just do it myself.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the benefits of being the writer and the letterer is because I'm like, this doesn't feel quite right, and I just go in and change it. You know what I mean? I don't have to get someone else involved, which I would feel bad constantly being like, no, that's not right. No, that's not right. Try this. Try this.
Yeah.
Try this. You're like,
exactly.
go stuff your head in a bag, Laurie. You know what I mean?
So yeah, so when it's small things like that, I just fix it myself.
Yeah. Okay. So you're still touching this thing and you're a part of it just as much as the art team, which is
right to the end. There's even certain things like even in Marco's illustrations, there's like I give feedback. We're going back and forth all the time, but sometimes he'll send me something and I was like, oh, I just realized there was an error where this character is wearing something in this issue in this panel, and then 2 panels down they're not wearing it. And I was like, I've already approved this panels. I don't want to go back to him and have him fix it because it's already been approved and colored. So then I'll draw it on top and I'll color it. so I'll go back there and fix little things. So if it's something small, I'll fix it. But if there's any big issues, then I'll just send them back.
Yeah.
And it's not even necessarily like Marco's fault. I'm not saying that. It might be like I missed something. And I was like, oh, I approve this. My bad. Marco, can you fix this? I'm sorry. But if it's small, I'll just fix it myself.
Right. Can we talk about Marco's art style?
Yeah.
What would you call this style? And now, first of all, everybody, so-called living. Why don't you start out with telling people about the story? Because this is the cover. It's like, what the heck is going on? They're on a bunch of chili cheese fries. So let's first start with the story. Like, let's do the pitch.
Yeah. So the story is it's a different kind of vampire story that takes place in a world where the extraordinary is ordinary. A guy named Jack, who's a normie, like me and you, lives in this world of all these monsters, vampires, werewolves. All these things exist in our world, but it's a world just like ours. They're not hiding in the shadows. They live among us. They're passengers on the bus, just like we are. And we all know about each other. But Jack gets turned into a vampire. And the story is about him learning to adapt to this new way of living. And he calls on his friends for help, and his friends are morons, so they're not much help. And while he's going through this, he gets the attention of the mob, and the mob are nasty, nasty people. And keep in mind, this is a dark comedy. So Jack and his friends are the comic relief of the group, and then the mob guys are very serious. Think of it as Jack and his group of friends being like friends, like the cast of Friends from the show, and the mob guys are very much the Sopranos, and they have that very intense tone. So it's like the Sopranos hunting down the cast of Friends,
which is
and
awesome.
so that's kind of where the story's going.
I had a blast reading this, you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Because when Mark and I talked back, however long ago, he was sending me he sent me, of course, the PDF, and I got to read. I was like, this is hilarious. Like, I was laughing out loud reading this. So I had a good old time. So let's so Marco's style. What do we even call this?
If you notice this cover here, actually, the characters, the way they're a little curvier, is closer to what Marco's style actually is. So like his natural style. So when I was looking for an artist, I was looking for somebody that would draw like Roberto Ramos. He's huge, right? I think he's from Mexico. I don't remember where he's from, but he's doing a lot of Spider-Man Marvel, a lot of Spider-Man work for Marvel right now, and he did like DV8 is where I remember where I got started on him. He's out there. He's done tons of great work, right? So Crimson, that was another one he did. Anyways, I wanted a style like his. So when I was asking for work, I got a lot of people sending me like anime style work. And I was like, that's great, but not what I'm looking for. It doesn't suit the script. So I found Marco and I was like, oh, he's so close. So I was like, Marco, I just basically communicated that I just need you to age up your stuff a little bit. But when he did this cover, he's like, I gave him the idea for the cover. I gave him a rough. I was like, here's a box of chili fries and the character sitting in the fries. It was like Jack's poking his head out the back. Nick is sitting on the front. Like I mocked it up and I was like, because there's no way I was going to convey this idea in text. So I like drew a rough and I was like, this is what I'm looking for. And he was like, do you mind if I draw it more like my style? I was like, yeah, go nuts. For the cover, I'm okay with it. But on the inside, I need to age it up just a bit. And if you notice if you look at issue 1 and you look at pages from issue 4, he's getting better because he's getting more comfortable with like aging up that art style just a little bit. So you can see he gets more comfortable drawing the characters. And I can see it from like how fast he produces things.
Yes. And that's something that I think I was talking about that last night on Corissa's show. We were talking about like, new artists, sometimes they're slow in the beginning because they're just trying to get everything right. And then that muscle memory kicks in and then it's like they start to fly and everything looks great. So it's interesting to me.
I wanted something. It needed to be an art style that was like matches the sarcastic kind of like comedy of the book. It couldn't be too dark and serious because it wouldn't match the tone of the writing. So,
and the bunnies. Can you explain the bunnies to people?
Yeah. So there's this whole undertone.
Funny.
There's a whole bunny undertone. There's a story subplot of these bunnies that's happening in the background. So even in issue 1, I think it's like page 2, you see bunnies, but it's happening on the background in the news on the news TV. Like, you see them there, a little tiny bunny. So I'm pointing to it on my screen, like people can see my finger.
Right.
Like first it's covering, and it introduces you to the world right away because the first panel is like, oh my God, are you seeing this? And then it cuts to like a news report of like zombie outbreak and blah blah blah, chaos erupts in Times Square, and then Jack's like, I can't believe this is happening. And you cut to Jack and he's like, I told this guy no gravy. Do you see this? Right? Like he doesn't even care about what's happening on the news. And Jill looks bored out of her mind.
Right. So this is just another Tuesday for them.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, meh.
They're like, meh.
So they're very much like, man. And that kind of introduces the tone of the comedy and the world right away. It's like zombies are commonplace here. But then in the back, you see a bunny start showing up on the TV, right? And so these first few pages establishes Jack's character and the relationship between him and his girlfriend Jill.
Right.
And if anybody's curious, you could read this whole issue on Global Comics. So it's for free to read on Global Comics, and you can purchase book 2 digitally there actually as well. I don't know how it works if you have a subscription. And it continues, and then it's like now it's not zombies, but you see the news report where they're like, our top story, great scientific minds of our generation gather at the Global Care Conference, right? It's a big issue, and they're discussing this bunny problem. And the only reason Jack and Jill aren't paying attention to it is because they're not even watching the TV anymore. But it's a big, you can tell by things happening on
Look
TV.
at the people running.
Yeah,
from
they're
the
running.
bunnies.
So they're running from bunnies. So in this world full of monsters, everybody's concerned about the bunnies.
Are you a fan of Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
I'm not actually. I appreciate
You know what I'm talking about, though?
I do. I do. I'm very aware. And
That's
everybody,
where my mind
that's where
goes.
everybody goes. But it's not quite there.
Not quite the
something
same.
it is something to be afraid of. But one thing, when you see the bunnies, there's a bit of mystery behind the bunnies. When you see the bunnies, they're never doing anything. You never see them covered in blood. You never see them attacking, and at least so far, you never see them do anything violent. You just see them there, and people are just freaked out and they take off. So you don't know why. And then sometimes you see them there, and then when they're gone, they leave carnage in their wake, and you're like, "What happened?"
The bunnies.
But
and they just stare at you.
Yeah, exactly. So currently, it's not the main story plot. It's right now we're in the beginning. We introduce Jack, and it's his origin story. And then we introduce the mob guys, and eventually their story is going to like collide with the bunnies. Eventually, that's going to happen.
Does it? Yes.
So
here they are breaking up.
Yep, they're breaking up. So yeah, if you follow through here, they're walking through, and like Jack's, to put it bluntly, Jack's a dumbass and Jill's a bit of a bitch. So, so
Accurate.
It makes sense that they don't like. I don't. How it's one of those couples you like. How do you guys ever get along?
Look, Lou's already read this. That's cool.
Oh, awesome! Thanks.
Yeah.
Book 2 is up there. I put it on Global Comics, but I haven't had time to even see how that works. Like I put it on Global Comics. So if you have a subscription, I don't know how that works. If you have to, I set a price, but I don't even know how. I don't know how that works either because nobody can buy it without a subscription. But if you have a subscription, I think you can just read it. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I basically threw it up there. And then since then, I've been on crunch for my job. So I haven't had a chance to even see how that works.
Nev found emojis, a bunny, fries, and the rock on.
But thank you, Lou. If you like the first one, you're going to like the other ones. They get better. And they get intense. Issue 4, so you start getting a hint of the intensity. So there's always dark comedy, but
they're like breaking up, and this guy's just there. And she's like, "Can you mind your own business, please?" He's just there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Jill doesn't take any shit.
Nope.
And this is very much when I did this part of the story, I was thinking of those situations where I've seen it. I've actually been involved in it once, where the girl I was with at a bar decides to pick a fight with a guy that's twice my size, and he's not going to take it out on her. He's going to take it out on me. So I've been in that situation one time, but I've seen it happen many times.
Oh my God.
Where I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, okay, everybody calm down.
She just wants to see you throw some blows, stand up for her, see how it goes. This guy is twice my size, madame.
Yeah, I was like, there was nothing I could have done.
No.
He held me up against the pane of glass. If he punched me, my head would have gone through the glass. No, it wasn't Brittany.
We didn't think it was you. No.
But yeah, I've been in that situation once. So that's kind of what I try to do here. It was like, there's these huge guys, and Jack's like, "Whoa, we gotta go," and Jill's like, "Screw you guys, blah 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 blah. You guys are assholes, right?" And he's trying to get her out of there. Like,
shut up now. Yeah. It's time to go. That's okay. So, she gets hers.
and somebody asked me once, because you'll learn quickly that these two guys are vampires. You're gonna learn this in the next few pages. And somebody asked me once, was like, why would you walk it if vampires are common? Why would you be afraid of coming across two vampires if they're like everyday people? And I was like, well, people are everyday people, but tell me you've never been in a shady area where you see somebody that's like, they're sketchy.
Yeah. So, giant sketchy guys.
Yeah. Giant sketchy guy in the shadows. Like, no,
I don't care if they're people or vampires. We're not saying.
Like you got to be aware of your surrounding areas, right? So, and Jack is very much so.
This whole back and forth between the two of them is super funny too. So you guys,
like, if you read, because they're going. Because Nick is very much the guy in charge. He's the guy with the hat.
Yeah.
Casper, the guy in the hoodie, he's more interested in the onion rings than anything else. And Nick just caught on to the fact that their names are Jack and Jill.
Yeah.
Right? And then he's trying to explain it to Casper, and Casper's like, friends of
Who?
yours? Like, I don't get it. And he's like,
Yeah.
little Miss Muffet, 3 blind mice.
Like,
And
what's a
Casper wonders,
tuffet?
like, what's a tuffet? Yeah, exactly. So that's where Nick's like, fuck it.
That's it.
let's just go.
We're just gonna go. Wah.
Yeah. So this is when they monster out. Oh, you were talking about lettering. So this is like this page had no lettering. So I thought it landed a little flat with no lettering.
Right.
So
No, you
I
definitely
put
need
the
it.
growl and the in there to
Yeah.
kind of give it a little more oomph.
Yeah, 100%. This looks great.
Thank you. Yeah, and like as much as I liked, and here's the little back story. When Marco did the first issue, I was like, these look great. And then he did issue 2, and I was like, oh, issue 2 looks better than issue 1. So I actually asked Marco to go back and redraw some pages, and I paid him for those pages again. And I was like, I understand, like I approved them, but they're so much better now. And I'd like you to take what you've learned and go back and redo these pages, because I think you can do them better now. And he did. And this is one of them. And if I asked him to go back now, he'd do even better, because he's getting better at them now.
Isn't that the hard thing though? Because at what point do you stop poking and prodding your issue number 1?
Yep. And the thing is too, like, because we're so close to it, and then but when other people see it, they're like, oh, this art's amazing. And I was like, that's how that is how I feel when I first see it. But then it sits there and you see his new stuff because I've seen stuff of his that you guys haven't seen yet. I was like, okay, this stuff's good.
It's nothing. Yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet.
It gets better. So yeah, this is where things go. This thing where things go bad. Yep. They've got a straw in Jill's neck.
Yeah, upside down.
Yep. Yeah, and the page is upside down, not by accident. It's because Jack's upside down.
Right.
So they let him live, and this is this is where he gets made.
I love
that. There's the whole exchange here
like,
too, right?
But it's his whole finger fills his mouth.
And he's trying to explain to him, like, you're dead. And Jack's pleading for his life. He's like,
yeah, he's like, don't kill me. They're like, it's too late. Like, no, I don't want. He's like, no, seriously, you're already dead.
Yeah. Yeah, like he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And then his response is like, I don't understand. And then what's Nick's response? Oh, vey, this kid. It's like, oy vey, this kid's dense.
Read my lips. You are dead. We killed you.
And his response is heaven. Yeah. So
does it look like heaven?
Yeah. So and that's kind of like it's a very character driven comic. So there's a lot of banter back and forth. And in the first issue, because we're just establishing these characters, a lot more talk. There's a little more action in the second issue, and then in the third and the fourth, there's more and more. And by the time we get to the fourth, there's like an all out, like half the book is action.
Lou says, poor Marco is going to be redrawing issue 1 for the rest of his life.
Again, Marco, you can do better.
Poor Marco.
But yeah,
he's getting paid.
He's getting paid. I've made this comment too. I actually had lunch recently with one of the guest artists who did one of my covers.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the book, and I was like, I got to tell you up front, all the artists in this book have made more money on this book than I have. Because they've all been paid.
That's normal.
so like they've all been paid. I've paid for the printing. The Kickstarters and everything are trying to pay myself back.
Yeah.
And that was for the first one. The Kickstarter, I get the money from the Kickstarter, then I print. But as far as like paying the artists back, then I still that's sales are eventually going to pay that back. Eventually. Yeah. Not sure when.
That's how I'm with you, where it's like the Kickstarter, I pay the artist first, I print the things, and then I try to recoup with sales. And it's like,
because this is like a thing I just want to get out there. I want to make SoCal Living like a brand, right? I want to build this world, and it's like it's a passion project. So I definitely want to make this as good as possible, and I want to get into people's hands. And more often than not, like, I understand not everybody's gonna like everything, but more often than not, people who have gotten their hand on this have loved it. It's been great feedback. So that's excellent. And I had a lot to learn making my first comic book, man, because like if you guys are new to comics, like I've never done a Kickstarter, I've never made a comic, and this year in 6 months, I did 2 Kickstarters and 4 comics in 6 months.
Amazing.
So, and I had to learn how to do all that.
Who's cracking me up today? The year is 2050. Marco has just completed the first holographics for issue 1.
Yep.
Because it's kind of like DVDs, right? Didn't we have VHS to DVD and then
We
the
got to do the
Blu-ray? So
4K
it's like
version, 8K version.
yeah, you got to keep redoing issue 1, Marco.
I'm sure you'll love that.
Doing holographics. I love this page too because Jill is just ahead.
Yep. And this is what you kind of start learning, like there's this page kind of establishes that there's different types of vampires, like personalities, and it kind of reflects the ones you see in movies, right? So you see your vampires like Bram Stoker's, deep and broody. You got your sparkly Twilight vampires. You've got all these, and most of the vampires that you see are they're very like emotional and romantic, and like there's that whole like love fantasy with vampires. But Nick and Casper are kind of like, what if the Sons of Anarchy were vampires?
Yeah.
Right. So that's
funny.
That's how they're like.
Okay,
so,
trust me.
You got to think if you're looking at Sons of Anarchy and they become vampires, what would they think of like Twilight vampires or Bram Stoker's vampires? Like they're not fans.
Nah, they just call him a pussy and punch him in the face.
Yeah, exactly. So in this case, like Nick refers to them as like the forest fairies. And those are vampires that feel, is how he describes it. So that's why he just chucks the head. He's like, you don't feel feelings like that no more. It's different. Like your girlfriend's dead. And you're like,
that's the kind of and it just cracks me up that every now and again they go places and there's just a random zombie there.
Yep. Yeah. You were talking about zombies. There's quite a few zombies, and there's more and more as the series continues. You see more and more zombies.
Yeah.
But yeah, and zombies in pools are kind of like a little joke I have kind of in the background.
What? Yeah. What's the story?
The idea that imagine the reason leaves are always in your pools is because leaves are always attracted to pools, right? So in this world, zombies are attracted to pools. So people are picking zombies out of their pool like you would pick leaves out of your pool. So for some reason, they're just drawn to it. So I plan on having images where people with like nets trying to like clean zombies out of their pools. So, and this whole apartment actually, it's I have it on the last page. I have this like behind the scenes look, but this apartment is based on the Karate Kid's apartment from the original Kid? Yeah, from the original Karate Kid movie. So if you see the front of the apartment, it's based on the Karate Kid's apartment building. So yeah, this front with the balconies and the gate in front, that's based on the Karate Kid's apartment. And the fact that there's a pool right there is in the Karate Kid. If you see the first movie, he goes in and the pool's like empty and it's a sad looking pool. So I was like, oh, it'd be funny if this had a shitty pool too.
With a zombie in it. Boy.
So I put a zombie in it.
I think it's funny. Zombie related humor is my bag. He's no longer allowed in his apartment. He's got to find somewhere new to go.
Yep, he's not invited in. That's his first problem.
I love how they give him like a manual. So you're a vampire now. Of course, I read that wrong. So now you're a vampire. It's like those
pamphlets you would pick up at those, like, oh, you need support. Here you go.
Right.
So now you're a vampire.
It's okay to cry. It is not okay to cry.
Yeah, I like it says not a force fairy. Skip to page 3, and it's Nick slapping a guy just as a force fairy. So
stupid pamphlet.
That was funny.
Stupid vampire. And that's where it ends, but the first page of the next one is him waking up and he's just surrounded by bunnies.
Correct.
Like,
so he falls asleep in the alley and it wakes up and it's a bad start to his
bunnies. Oh my god. So that's issue 1, you guys. I kind of went through fast, but there's a ton of stuff. Please go read this. Like Mark said, you can get it for free on Global Comics. But I want to show off some of the other things. So he's like Mark said, he's run 2 campaigns for 2 books each, which is crazy. So 1 and 2. I don't think the sound works. I think the sound kicked me off here. Let's stop.
Oh, what?
Every now and again, it decides that it doesn't want the sound to work. I'll try it.
Oh, you're looking for the video? I could always send you the link to the actual video on YouTube.
Oh, well, maybe. Let's see. You guys in the chat will have to tell us if the sound is working, okay?
It doesn't look like the video's even working.
I was like,
Oh, there you go.
And you don't know. It's a bunny.
Hi, my name is Mark Maia, and I f***ing love comic books.
No swearing.
Oh, right. My bad. I'm just so excited. This is my first comic book.
Yeah, I know. Don't tell me. Tell him.
Oh, right. Sorry. My name is Mark Maia, writer of So-Called Living, and this is my first comic book.
Great. Now can you do the rest of the video without sounding like a complete
So-Called Living is a dark comedy that takes place in a reality where vampires, werewolves, zombies, and us normies coexist in a world much like our own. Well, except for all the vampires, werewolves, and zombies, that is. Our story focuses on a guy named Jack, whose life is turned upside down when he finds himself unwillingly transformed into a vampire. With the help of his friends, he tries his best to adapt to this new way of living. Unfortunately for Jack, he's gotten himself mixed up with the wrong kind of people, and living, such as it is about to get difficult. Like many longtime comic book fans, I've always wanted to tell my own story, create something that would entertain the community that I love, but I didn't want to do it until I was sure I could do it right. And now, with the incredible artistic talent of Marco Leona, we're ready to bring Jack's story to life. So-Called Living takes place over 8 issues, but we need to fund the first 2 before we can make any more, and that's where you come in. And to sweeten the pot, we've included variant covers from guest artists, such as the crazy talented Derek Loffman and Toronto's own Ashton Techno Prasad. These guys are out there killing it, so we are honored to have them on board. Now, if you're looking for something a little bit spicier to add to your comic book collection, our obligatory Sexpot editions have got you covered. You can also grab one of our exclusive So-Called Living keychains. By doing so, you're not just getting a cool piece of merch, you're becoming part of the Blood Bunny Colony, which grants you access to exclusive offers on all future So-Called Living campaigns. For me, this is more than just a comic book. It's a community, a shared experience, and with your help, we can make So-Called Living a reality.
Well,
Now, if you've seen the video for the new Kickstarter, that one had kind of like an old movie reel treatment where the film would skip, like,
yeah.
and then the new one, I updated it to like a VCR. So now it's like old VCR. So it's like we're going up in technology.
Going up in technology here. Play. It hates me.
Here it comes. It's the anticipation.
Wait for it. There we go. What the heck? Funny.
If you're a fan or were even moderately entertained by So-Called Living books 1 and 2, then you're going to love books 3 and 4. This time around, we've got more action, more laughs, and more of these guys who are not to be trifled with. And the return of everyone's favorite BFBs, Nick and Casper. If you missed it the first time, So-Called Living is a dark comedy about a guy named Jack who gets turned into a vampire and has to learn to adapt to this new way of living. And unbeknownst to Jack, the mob has gotten wind of his newly sired vampire status, and they are very interested, but not in a good way. Books 3 and 4 also introduce some new characters that will play a pivotal role in our evolving storyline, some of which are sure to become fan favorites.
Who's Jenny?
But you know what the best part is? Marco Leone is back. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The amazing artist who poured all that visual goodness into your
Saw me in the
eyeballs the
pool.
first time around has got a gravy boat full of artistry that will delight your corneas. A ladle of...
Okay, enough with the food metaphors. We get it. Marco's good, and we're lucky to have him. Just say that.
I was just doing a thing.
I know. Stop it.
Okay. We're really lucky to have Marco. He's really good at the drawings. And that's not all. For our elite covers, we've snagged Doug Wright Award nominee and all-around good guy, John Little, to grace us with this fantastic variant for Book 3. And for our Book 4 elite cover, we have a rare treat indeed, brought to us by the one, the only, Mark Maia. Yeah, I drew this one. Now, if you're looking for variants of the sexy persuasion, allow me to introduce you to our obligatory sexpot editions. This time around, we've called upon the ridiculously talented Larry Twasson to produce a set of what could possibly be our sexiest covers yet. And for our returning backers who joined the Blood Bunny Colony the first time around, check your email for a special deal exclusive to you. Now, if you haven't joined the colony yet, we've got you covered. These adorable keychains are up for grabs yet again. By picking one up, you will be automatically inducted into the Blood Bunny Colony, which unlocks special deals on all future so-called living Kickstarters. But most importantly, you need to know that without you, none of this would have been possible. And for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you.
Cool. Stop. All right. So, so you guys can see, man, these have kicked ass and take names and chewing gum, something or other.
Yep.
Man, that's a ton of work. 4 issues. And I usually only Kickstarter for one at a time, and you're Kickstarting for 2 issues every campaign.
Yeah, I'm actually doing that so I could do less campaigns,
I know,
and save people on shipping, because actually it would cost the same to ship 1 book as it does 2.
Yeah.
Because of the minimum weight requirements. So I thought 2 would be a good number, and again, I don't want to be writing this same story forever. So at this rate, I'll have
Why not?
I'll have the first. Well, the first story is supposed to be wrapped up in like 8 issues. I say supposed to because I got to tighten up the last script. So maybe it leaks into 9, or it's a bigger issue. I don't know. But that means that this first story should be wrapped up by the end of next year, and so-called living will continue, but the story wraps up.
Gotcha. So the world will continue. Maybe just pick up a new storyline, new characters.
No, there's gonna be some returning characters. Not all characters are necessarily gonna make it.
Gotcha.
But there will be some returning characters. So yeah, and again from the second one, you could pick up like you were able. Well, the Kickstarter is done now, but you were able to get books 1 and 2 and get sets where like discounted prices, and these are Canadian prices, which is crazy because like all in $80 Canadian is like $59 American. Nice. So and that's for like all 6 covers.
That's amazing. And so you're going to be doing a victory lap here on Indiegogo?
Correct. And what's funny, I don't know if my wife is Brittany is listening to this. First of all, the sexy covers, her idea. So, and I like anybody who's listening, I like to explain that the reason we did the sexy covers was because we wanted a variant that kind of played into the whole crowdfunding. Like everybody likes sexy covers, and sexy covers, you need one to be successful. That was the kind of the running joke. So we put the badge on them saying like obligatory sexpot edition. Like you need to have these. And for this, which is funny because I designed this page yesterday and it had none of these images on here. And then this morning I noticed that you could do A/B testing, which means, you do 2 versions of the same page, and Indiegogo decides who gets what. And for some reason, Indiegogo decided you get the sexy versions.
Yeah, I get the sexy version. Thanks, Indiegogo.
So it's
I think it might be off. I don't know. Just
it's funny because the other one's is just like, I think I sent you a link to the image that I used for the other one, and it's just like a gangster with a gun out. There's nothing sexy in there. And if anybody's wondering, the sexy covers are just sexy covers. They're great art. This is like Larry Twasson did these covers, and he does traditional pencils. Actually, I forgot I still have them here.
There we go.
Like, these are traditional pencils.
Wow, look at that, you guys.
So, and then he inks these. These are the pencils and the inks, and he inks these with like a magnifying glass.
My gosh.
So he's crazy talented. So he sends me the originals.
Oh,
But yeah,
you're so lucky.
this is what I put together yesterday, and this is the only one that existed. This is the link I shared, and then this morning, just like I was like, oh, I have some artwork. I'll just throw in an alternate version and see which one does better. Take advantage of their A/B testing. So it's funny that's what
yeah.
Because I purposely was like, I'm not going to use any of the sexy images for the main banners. So when I come on here,
Jack is
oh,
back,
that's the same
baby.
video you saw before. Yeah.
I just wanted to see what would happen.
So yeah, it's
Cool.
funny, but anyways, it still showcases the amazing artwork in the book, and Larry Twaston's awesome. And I want to get those images.
Everybody.
I want to get those images framed, actually.
Yeah,
I think you did such a great job. And how often do you get like traditional artwork anymore?
It's all digital, right? I have two. I have two original pieces of artwork from covers that have been done for me. We're going to be going on to issue 6. I have 2 originals. That's it. So I feel you, man. Frame those. There's nothing wrong with sexy.
It's really cool.
That is true. There is nothing wrong with sexy.
No, nothing wrong with sexy.
Yeah. It's cosplay version of the characters. Absolutely. And it just makes me chuckle that Indiegogo was like, you know what? This person's account, Laurie Calcaterra, should see the sexy version. That's going to appeal to her.
But the thing about this cover, the thing with the cover about the girls fighting, like the brawl, it was to mirror the regular cover that Marco drew for book 4, which was all the guys in a brawl, and it's just a bunch of guys, and there's one girl in there because all the main characters in the fight are guys. So I was like, wouldn't it be funny if the sexy cover was like all the girls who worked at the bar? What if they got into a fight?
Ripping their clothes off.
Yeah. So, and I was very specific to Larry when I told him. I was like, because he does a lot of sexy things. He does a lot of his work. People request a lot of nudity, but and he's a complete professional. But I told him, I was like, just so you know, I don't want any nudity in this. I was like, I don't mind nudity. I'm fine with it. I'm a fan of it, but that's not
nude.
Not for me, not for so-called living. So I was like, you keep it sexy, but keep everything covered up. I was like, if by chance if you drew somebody's bra getting ripped off, then have an arm or a fist across so it's still covered. You know, do the Austin Powers thing where he's like stretching and there's like a plant in front of his bits. So I was like, that kind of humor I'm good with.
Holiday gift guide. Yeah, everybody, this would be a great opportunity. And there's a webpage. So if you guys are looking for stuff, you have a shop on here, Mark?
It's a good question. I've never been to the site.
Really?
Brittany, my wife's put it together, and she's shown me, but I've never been there. So if she's watching,
Brittany, is there a shop on here?
There might be a link to. I don't think she's. Well, since I'm still working on the Indiegogo page, and I just put the follow page. There'll probably be a link to the Indiegogo follow on here, and then we'll switch it up to the actual Indiegogo page when it goes live.
Gotcha.
But no, we don't have a shop anywhere. So right now, the only way to get them is, well, it was Kickstarter. Now it's Indiegogo.
Gotcha.
And for a limited time, I'm going to be at a Christmas market here. I'm in London, Ontario, in Canada. So,
I hear ya. Yeah, that's only fair. I do that as well. I make sure all my backers get their books before I put them up on my website for sale. Absolutely.
Yep. So, and we're doing the same thing here. Like we're gonna be packaging the books up this week, mailing them out, and because we got them all in, and after that, in a few weeks, we're going to be at a Christmas market, and it's something that they do around here where it's just a bunch of little vendors open up and they have Christmas specials. So I'm going to be offering books 1, 2, 3, and 4 at this Christmas market, but that'll be the only other place to get it. Cause right now we don't have a lot of online presence. So when people ask how the book sales are doing, I'd be like, they'd be doing great if I was selling them.
So, you're like, I'm selling them. People want them on the campaigns. Is that
the campaigns? Yeah, the campaigns are doing well,
right?
And so we go to shows. We do well as far as like compared to comparing ourselves to like the other indie guys, and not like last show we were at, like one of the creators from Ninja Turtles was there, and like a bunch of other like big known artists. It was a Ninja Turtles convention basically, but those guys are great. and they have a huge following, so clearly they did a lot better than we did. But when we compare us, like we're the new kids on the block, you compare us to other
Right.
indie guys, we did really well. So we always do really well, which is great. So that's nice to see, because we are new and we're learning, and there's a great indie community, and we've learned so much from each other, and we've helped each other so much. So I really enjoy being part of that. So I love going to cons and meeting new people, and like going on shows like this and meeting you, because you create comics too, and it's just fun to talk about it. Because like out of my friends like that I hang out with all the time, none of them read comics or read my comics. And they play board games with me, but I teach them how to play board games.
Can you imagine what parent-teacher conferences are like for me? They're interesting, because I get in there and the teachers are always like, "So what do you do?" And I was like, "I write." And they're like, "Oh, you write books?" And I was like, "I write comic books." They're like, "You write comic books?" And I write Western apocalypse comic books with
to be
undead
specific.
squares. Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I get a lot of the same looks too.
So-
People like I have serious careers. Like I've been in the video game industry. So like people ask me, what do you do? I was like, I do a lot of things.
Right.
So
That should be my answer too. I do a lot of things.
So like, because I love video games, and I've been in the video game industry for 25 years as a designer, creative director, etc. I've been doing that for a long time. I like board games. I have a board game media channel called Board Game Coffee on YouTube. If anybody's interested in board games, you can check out Board Game Coffee.
Wait, let's go find it. It's called
Yeah,
Board
go
Game
ahead.
Coffee.
Yeah. So that's why you see boxes. This is a board game that we did a video
I
of.
noticed that in your video you had just a tower of
board games. They're literally stacked from the floor to the ceiling. I'm running out of room. I have over 700 board games in the house.
Board Game Coffee. Is this you? Yeah, that's you. I found you. Wait, share this tab.
Oh, you're sharing it?
Yeah, if I can.
So like I just get into things I love. Like I love video games, so I got in the video game industry. I loved board games, so I got into board game media. I loved comics, so now I'm a comic book writer. So I do all the things I love. Those are what I work for. And so there you go. And so that's and you see Brittany is at the top of the banner to the right of the mini. That's Brittany. Yeah.
Yay. Hi, Brittany. Nice to see you. Tell me more. I know. Here's Nem in the background. Tell me more. Here's at Board Game Coffee.
Yeah. So so we do playthroughs, how to plays, previews. We do a few reviews. We don't do many reviews. That's because most of our content we do a lot of paid content. So we don't take money. We don't take pay for reviews. It seems a little dirty.
Yeah.
But we'll do previews where we'll tell people what we think. And I find it funny because and they're all color coded. So you can see some of the reviews where they're like blue banners.
Yeah.
But again, they take a lot of time to put together because I script them. We do skits. There's a lot of work that goes into them. So that's why I don't do them a lot. And I've been slowing down toward the end of the year because I need a little mental break. I think I was going to have a mental breakdown.
Oh no. I feel you too, man. I dabble in the video making as well. I do all my own videos, and your Kickstarter video is much more professional than you typically see. And mine are my own thing, but again, I put a lot of time and effort, so I feel you. It's just like there's only so much time in the day to do all of these things that you do, and it's like you almost have to triage your day, and it's like, what's most important right now that I need to do?
And I've gotten practice because I wasn't trained in video editing, but I got practice doing the YouTube channel, and then I'm always trying to push myself. So like I learned a lot about After Effects doing the YouTube video because I didn't use After Effects before. So all those like the panels coming down and floating out and doing all those, like I did that in After Effects and I didn't know, so I had to learn. So it's pretty basic once you learn it. But what's great about YouTube is you're like, how do I do this on you? How do I do this?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And I was like, okay, that's
how you do it. Specific to the program that you're in too, where it's like I use Final Cut Pro. And so I'm always like, how do I, like track, or like tips for better green screen, or like, why is my, it's lagging, stuff like that. Like just things you need to fix and you don't know how to do it because there's 8,000 options on this program. YouTube is the best. There's always someone out there that's done a video that was like, this is how you fix your green screen.
Yeah,
Whoop.
which is great. So is excellent, which is YouTube. The whole YouTube thing is going to change how
Yeah.
school goes. Ironically, it's like going back to how before schools, when like villages used to just teach each other how to do things. And that's what we are,
Mhm.
which is a giant village teaching each other how to do things. So it's
Interesting.
incredible. Like,
That's
you can learn.
yeah.
You learn how to build a car engine if you want. I'm pretty sure you can be like, how to build a car
Yeah.
engine on YouTube and be like, here you go. Here's how you do it.
Yeah, I think
So
that's great. We're in the day we're not only like, can we make videos to teach each other skills, but also we can report news too. It's like you can do it immediately. Like this is what's going on in my neighborhood right now. You know
mhm.
what I mean? So it's almost like
it's
we're
a,
a big community.
it's unfortunate that although I have the YouTube channel, like it's board game focused, so I slip some comic
Comic
book
book
news
stuff
on
there?
there, but it's not the same audience. So like when I put out a video based on
Really?
the comic book, it's like I got like 300 views. But if you look, like you had it on that page, there was
Yeah.
like, and I started off,
Okay.
it said like this is nothing to do with board games, and it got 300 views. But I have but other things on the channel have like 15,000
Oh yeah,
views or
look, I'm
10,000
looking at
views.
it. It's like
So
right next
um,
to it is The Bad Karma and the Curse of Cthulhu. I can never
Cthulhu,
say
yeah,
Cthulhu. I can never say that word right.
yeah, it's the theme of the
4,000
game.
views. This is a video that has nothing to do with board games. 306 views.
Yep.
And then Invincible, the card game, 7.2K.
Yeah, so
Like,
it's
comment.
nothing has like when it has to do with comics, it's like meh.
Ah,
So I try not to push it, because I've had people ask me like, oh, maybe if you come on my show, I can go to your show. I was like, that's not really gonna work because
yeah. I
like,
mean, you can come on and talk about board games.
yeah, you come talk about board games.
You're like my audience and your audience don't always
Yeah, I was like,
relate.
they don't mesh. I was like, and
Yeah.
I can tell you from experience because I have a comic book. I put my own stuff up, and they don't want to listen to me talking about me, and they're my fans. So,
Like, they don't want to talk to me.
so I was like, I've just kind of stopped, and I only do it if I'm like, I'll do it maybe a story or something to promote a Kickstarter. But other than that, I don't. I don't
Just
push
for
it
like
out.
a sticker.
Yeah. So like I'll wear the
Right?
sweaters. So like in all our playthroughs, now I have all my videos, I wear my so-called living sweater.
Yeah.
And then we did a
Subliminal.
playthrough recently, and it was all the girls had their so-called living like tank tops on. So
You should do subliminal messaging like Fight Club, where they just have like this single image, just like bloop right in the middle of
yeah, yep.
now live, Kickstarter live, go back.
Except instead of like a penis, it'll be like boop.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just an image of your cover and it just says go back now. It's totally subliminal. People are like,
That's what we used to do.
what was that?
Like that scene.
Or
in
you could put a penis with the logo on it. There you
really
go.
getting attention. Yeah. Yeah, they bring that get that sexy audience in there again. But
Hey.
I like that part in Fight Club because you hear that one little girl crying in the
Yeah,
audience.
yeah. She's crying. Doesn't even know what she saw. People are all
That's good.
confused. What? It just
That was good.
feel weird.
But yeah, man, the path to making a comic book is crazy. And as a writer,
I like what you did there.
as,
Yeah.
as a writer, it's been difficult to like
Let's talk about it. What part?
well, if you look on YouTube, right? Because first thing I did, again, we just said that YouTube teaches us everything. So I go to
Right.
YouTube and I was like, let's see how do I do this? As a writer, how to find an artist? As a writer, how do I do this? As a writer, how do I do that? Right. And the most I could find is how to format a script, where I was like, okay, I don't want that because I already found an example somewhere else. So I was like, I don't need that. But most of the examples are I'm an artist and I'm making a comic book, or I'm a writer that
Oh.
draws my own comic book. And so those are, and I was like, that doesn't help me because I was like, I'm trying to word it as simple as possible. I was like, writer, even though I was trying to word it as like writer, not an artist, trying to put out a
Comic book
comic book.
method?
How do I do that? And it was so hard to find
You see,
information.
I think that's part of the flaw of searching for things is if you don't know the vocabulary, you don't know how to look for the thing because it's very specific to the business. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So if you're looking for like comic book method script, something like that. But
Yeah.
if you've never you didn't know that how do you know what kind of script formats there are? If there's screenplay, comic book, novel, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Prose. There's all these different ways to write a script. But if you aren't in the business, you don't know that there's something specific to comic book.
Yeah.
How do you search it?
So I started another channel, but I only did 2 videos on it so far.
Yeah.
I got too busy and I was like, I need to cut things off for a bit and then I'll go back to it. I wanted to kind of like document the whole journey as a writer to kind of help other writers who are getting into it and be like, this is how I found my artist. This is what you have to watch out for.
Yes.
And don't settle for artwork that you're not happy with. If you don't feel like it doesn't suit your story, don't feel bad about telling people it's not for your story.
Right.
Because it's fun because there's like some great artists out there that I could look at their work and be like, it's not for so-called living. It doesn't match it.
Right.
And like Marco, I love Marco's work, but I have another story planned that I'll be doing in the future that his art style does not match it.
And so, and that's part of the hard part, I think, as a new creator is being patient to find that person. Because in the beginning, when someone starts creating art in your world, it's just exciting to see someone interpreting your characters and seeing them come to life. But you know, you at least have the background of art development, and you know what I mean? And so there's so many people that just jump at the first opportunity. And it's like, you have to learn how to be patient, to be like, this is great, but this isn't what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Like you got to try to don't, like you're going to have to make, because, you know, I understand most of us indie comic book people aren't just made of money. We can't just go pay whoever we want to do whatever we want. But like at the same time, you're going to have to choose like, where's your bending point? Where's right?
What's your cutoff? What's your page rate that you can actually afford? And then be honest, because you have to find someone that can do the style for the page rate you're looking for, and has to be able to have a conversation. Like you have to be able to communicate with them effectively and kind of have the same values to move forward, because otherwise you're constantly clashing, or you know, things just aren't getting done because you're not communicating well. So there's a lot of different things obviously that you have to look for. I want to piggyback on that and say Pop says in it right here is kind of what I would say is join the community. Find people that already have a community and they will help guide you, because a lot of times we come into this journey not knowing anybody or anything and have 5 million questions, but there's good people out there that can help you make decisions and help you know, you figure it out. And there's a group like the Madness Comic Network. There's tons of groups out there, but that have artists and writers and just about editors and you name it, there's people there. And if, you know, same thing, if you can't afford them, they can help find you someone that you can. So there's a whole community out there that can help. Join the community is my first suggestion. Find out how things work, talk to people, make connections. You'll find somebody that works for you.
And that's kind of like, for me, the entry point for me to get into the community and start talking to people that were like-minded was I went to, I think it was at Fan Expo in Toronto. It was in Fan Expo, Toronto Comic Con, one of those. I think it was Fan Expo. And I sat in on a panel. It was a smaller panel of Wednesday Night Reviews had a panel, and they're a podcast. They're in Toronto. They're local to Toronto, and they had a bunch of writers and artists. And they were just interviewing them, and they were talking about how to get into indie and to get it, you know, start a comic book. So then I was in the front row, and right away I jumped in there, and I snuck in these cards, business cards I had with QR codes promoting my book 1 and 2. So I was like, I have these if you're curious, right? So I got in there right away, and then I met Conrad, who he was doing that, and I messaged him back, and I was like, any chance I can get on your podcast to help promote my book? And I was like, I understand. I was like, I have a YouTube channel, so I understand that there's a give and take, and I'd like to talk about my book to help promote it. But if there's anything I could do for you guys to like maybe talk about my journey, so it can maybe help other people that are in the same position I am as a writer trying to do books. So kind of like a give and take. So I don't want to be just here being like, get so-called living, get so-called living, so-called living. So like, I want to also talk about my journey to maybe help somebody, right?
Yes.
And maybe provide some entertaining content. So, and when I met him, we did a show, and it was a lot of fun. He loved the books. It was great. And back then, there was only books 1 and 2 when I first did it. And then he said, I told him, I was like, I'm looking to get in this community, man. You're the only guy I've talked to so far. I don't know how to break in. And he's like, well, there's these guys called Lesser Known Comics. And they're in the States, which he explained to me because we're both Canadian. And he's like, yeah, here's their contact info. Reach out to them. They're really nice guys. They have this group, and they might be able to help you out. And I was like, all right. So I contacted and I talked to Mark Bernal, and he kind of runs that group. And we talked on the phone for like over an hour. And we just I was like, I just met this person, and we just started talking on the phone. And he's like, yeah, join the group. He's like, it doesn't matter if your book isn't under our under our lesser known comics label, just join the group. So I did. And I was like, I don't mind, like, I'd like to at some point put So-Called Living on their page. But I was like, right now I have 8 books planned. We'll all work a way to do it. But I got into their groups and I was able to talk to other people. And then, you know, we were talking about how we did Kickstarter and learn other things. In the beginning, I had so many questions. Where did you guys get printed? How much do you guys pay for printing? Do you do digital? Do you do offset printing? Do you do this? And all these questions. So I started getting in there and started asking questions. I got so involved in the group where right now they've kind of splintered off into making something bigger. And they've asked me to help to bring my perspective in because I have a different business perspective from the video game industry. So they've asked me to come in and help them do something. So I came in, I wanted them to help me, but now I'm helping them, which I'm happy to be able to give back. So it's great that being able to do that. And then from then they tell me about cons. So then I get into cons, then I meet other people. And once you start going to cons, you start meeting the regulars, right? They're always there. And then that was great. It's such a fun little community to be in. And, you know, obviously there's always people on the outsides that are got some poison to spit in your direction, but you got to try to block them out and stay with the positive people.
Yeah, it's difference of opinion and drama, and it doesn't, you know, and it's funny because when I first got into comics and I didn't know anything, right? And didn't know there was factions, didn't know Comicsgate, not in it didn't know, right? And so you get in here and you're like, God, there's drama everywhere. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Like I was in the printer business, you know, doing financials for a company in Michigan. That's what I was doing before I left that to do this full time. And it's just like, I'm away from the drama. And then you're like, oh, the drama's everywhere.
Yep, it's everywhere. It is.
It's just being an adult and being human. You have to figure out, you know, where your people are and your clan and your, you know, your family. Sticking to that and brush off everybody else. Who cares?
There's one guy. I'm not going to mention any names, and I'm not going to go to too many specifics. But basically, he didn't like one thing I did, and before he read the book, I was like, he's going to hate it. He's going to hate it. I know he's going to hate it because he hates me already. I was like, I could tell. I was like, and even the guy who introduced us told me, he was like, just so you know, he's not happy about this.
Who cares?
And then he wrote this terrible letter to this other guy that introduced me, and he was like, I can't believe you'd even blah blah blah, this kind of people make me sick. And I was like, whoa. I was like, okay. And then he read the book and reviewed it, and obviously he hated it. I was like, you hated me to begin with. You instantly hated me.
Then what? Here's the thing. If he hates what you're doing and he dislikes you, why is he paying attention?
Yeah.
Move on.
It is just cool.
I don't understand what, but again, I think that's like your level of success is when the trolls start showing up.
Yep.
You know, which is dumb. By the way, hey, Glenn. There you go. No, we still got some show left, man. You're not at the very end. Sometimes Glenn shows up and he's like, hey, everybody. And then they're like, I hit end.
But it's just funny how people get ideas in their head and then they're locked. Like there's no changing.
There's no convincing them otherwise.
I'm never like, I don't ever need to talk to that person again because I know for a fact they'll hate me for life. No matter, I could cure cancer tomorrow and they'll still hate me.
They'd be like, he was unfair to the people who have meningitis.
So I was like, okay.
Like, why did you not cure meningitis first, sir? Are you against meningitis?
Yeah. And yeah, it was.
We're going to clip that.
Bizarre. It was just bizarre. Anyways, yeah, he made like he made a judgment call, never meeting me. He made a judgment call on something that something very simple that I did, which I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but I'm gonna tell you that you've experienced the exact same thing he did, and he hasn't, and you haven't said anything about it. You haven't even paid attention to it.
So it's not that important.
But he latched onto it. And it's like, bah, terrible person. And yeah.
Anyways.
Okay.
What is it? I need to know now.
Well, okay, I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
I'm not going to put it on the show if you don't want to.
No, it's fine. I'll let you know what it is, but it was because this is how stupid it is. Because we actually talked about it so far on the show. Nick calls. Remember, this is a world where creatures exist. There's mermaids. There's everything in this world. So, and he refers to vampires that feel as forest fairies.
Oh, okay.
So, and I did that. So, and then it came out of nowhere, and there's like, this writer's homophobic. Like, what?
You're talking about actual fairies.
Yeah, it's like there's actual fairies. There's actual fairies. Yeah, and they live in a forest. Like, there's actually magical creatures in this world.
Did you not see the pamphlet where he smacked the shit out of the actual fairy?
So, and it's but yeah, and I was like, oh, he hates me already. He hates me already. So
no.
Like, and even the guy who passed on the message, because he's like, I need you to read this. He's like, and just so you know, I don't think this at all, and I think most people aren't going to think it, but I can tell you it's not going to go your way with this guy. So I was like,
black.
Okay.
You see, though, Mark, I have this other show called Killer Karen. I don't know if you're familiar, but she likes to call people those names because she's a Karen. So stuff like that, I just don't even. It doesn't even like affect me anymore.
No, I never even thought twice about it. And when I got the warning, it was like, heads up, they're not very excited. Here's this thing, that a letter I got. And I was like, I don't know, what could it possibly be? And I was like, what?
I don't know.
But anyways,
who knows? People.
I was like, all right. Yeah. That's not me at all.
People come after me because I kill animals in my story too. So, I mean.
Did you know there was a story of PETA going after Mario because he had the Tanuki suit or the Tanuki suit, where he wears like the skin of a raccoon.
How dare this video game portray? I'm like, can it not be like footy pajamas?
Yeah, can it be just a costume? Why does it have to be like? Why do you think the worst possible thing, PETA?
That he's wearing the skin of this animal.
Yeah, so I think at times there's like people on PETA that just doing things just to get attention.
I'm surprised PETA has
like,
not.
Hey,
well, maybe I'm flying under their radar because I kill lots of things in my book. Don't come for me, PETA. I will drink your tears. What was I gonna say? PETA wasn't upset about the part where Mario, you have to like jump off of Yoshi and sacrifice Yoshi to get to the end. Yoshi just is like, what the fuck? As he falls into the no, they don't care.
Maybe they think he falls into a ball pit. Like it,
ball pit.
Like
they can assume one way, but not the other.
Yeah. But I thought that was weird.
It's fictional.
It was that headline that was like PETA attacks Mario. What? That was years ago. It was so long ago. That had to be probably like 10
Have
years
we
ago.
cured cancer at this point? Like, why are we right? You would think that we have nothing else left to do with life if we're complaining about Mario wearing a furry suit.
Yep. I'm with Lou here. Unfortunately, more people do find it easier to hate than support.
Isn't that terrible? Well, here's the thing. Your hot takes and angry videos and drama, they get more views.
Yeah, they do. They do. And that's the sad thing. That's why there's so many scare tactic stories. Don't eat this cereal because it'll give you cancer. Yeah. Don't do this, you'll get Alzheimer's. Do this and your hair will fall out. It's just like terrible things.
Right.
There's tons of them.
You know what? It's and that's funny. It's like it's fear mongering and it's a sales tactic. It's like, should we use that, I guess, in comics? If you don't read so-called life, your hair will fall out. I mean, like, do we need to do that? Because it works for everybody else.
Like I could say reading so-called living will increase your lifespan.
But that's a positive thing. We need to keep it negative, Mark. We need to keep it negative.
If you don't read so-called living, you'll end your life short. There you go.
If you don't read so-called living, you will get run over by a car.
Yep.
You heard it here.
Why risk it? Why risk it? Pick up your shoes now.
Cars are everywhere.
Yeah, it's true.
Life is dangerous. Read so-called living.
Yep.
Oh, drama does not sell books. I know it doesn't. Drama and fear shouldn't sell anything, honestly. But that's, this is the world we live in.
It's not. It's like they don't sell things, but they're used to get views.
There is apparently the top emotion to tap in marketing. Yeah.
Ooh. So yeah, I guess that's why it's like, I guess FOMO kind of is that right?
You're missing out. Yeah, I can see that.
So
I've seen that with like exclusives, like, oh, if you don't get this, we won't make anymore. You know, like this is your chance to get in. But it's kind of hard to capitalize on that when you're a no-name writer. Like, hey, I'm only making 25 of these. Who cares, Laurie?
It's sad but true. It's true. So I tell people like our elite covers and our sex pot covers are limited. So like once they're done, we're not going to reprint those, but we'll reprint the standard covers. What was that about? I saw So-Called Living.
He says, if you don't read So-Called Living, you suck.
Yeah.
Don't suck.
Don't
Get
suck.
into So-Called Living today.
I think
See, we can make great commercials for people.
I just found my new marketing agent, Nem.
Nem, you've just been hired.
M is for marketing.
Nem is for marketing. And the M at the end.
The M is for marketing. Yeah, the M is for marketing.
You've been hired. Yeah. Nem is pretty funny too. You'd like him. More drama. It's YouTuber's tool, not a comic creator's tool. I know. I'm with you. I'm just saying, like, it's just, terrible. Because I see it too. I see it on YouTube. I see it on X. I see people in indie comics that just attack other indie comics. And it's like, for what? For clout? But again, they're getting clicks. People want to read that hot take.
Well, it's because you have that
going on?
You have that clickbait of like why I hate this, or 10 reasons why this sucks. Or like, oh, I want to know 10 reasons why it sucks.
And I mean, like, even on what is it, TikTok, they're like, here's the 10 reasons why I didn't buy this product. And they're like, just kidding, I bought this product. It's like, what the heck? So Zombie 13, we need to be friends, man. Me and the zombies, we're friends. So I've seen you on the show showing off your cool things. So I need you to come on my show. We could talk cool things. I'm just saying. Nem is available for voiceover work. Yes, he is. He does great voiceover work. He does great videos too. So you guys should definitely collaborate. Nem, I want to collaborate with you again on an 8-bit video game. I will make wooden covers for you. Just saying.
I have a face for voiceover work.
No, you do not. Stop it. So what's next, Mark? So I know you're pushing So-Called Living. You said you have other scripts.
Yeah. So there's So-Called Living is planned to be an 8-issue story. And so it should wrap up next year. That's going to be another 4 issues. It'll come out next year. And but I got plans coming. Like I've got I teased it at the end of book 3 or 4. At the bottom, there's a little teaser for So-Called Living Kids.
Oh.
So I'm planning on doing something for kids, something kid related that's in the world of So-Called Living. And just if anybody's listening, So-Called Living is not a kid's book. There's a lot of cursing. Mind you, one of our fans is I think she's like a 10 or 11-year-old girl. She comes with her dad and he's like, it's okay. All right.
I mean, I do the same thing. People are always like, is this kid appropriate? I'm like, well, let me tell you what's in it. And then like, totally up to you whether you want, your kid reading that or not. And then they let them make the decision.
My parents would be okay with it. They would.
Yeah.
I was like,
there's like certain things. Yes. I think, like violence, because we can separate ourselves from that. Swearing is just words, but it's like, obviously we don't want to have the nudity in there for the kids, stuff like that.
So I was like, the first thing I tell them, I was like, well, there's no pornography or nudity in this at all. I was like, the sexiest thing are these covers. And that's it.
Don't buy these ones,
but just buy the regular covers.
This one. Right.
And so yeah, I can't remember. So the script. So yeah, I do have So-Called Living Kids coming out. We're going to. I'm actually going to be talking to some manufacturers about producing something cool. I'm not ready to reveal it yet, but it won't be a book.
Damn it!
It won't be a book.
Okay.
But it'll be some cool merch that I think is going to go over really well.
Plushies.
It's going to go over well. I'm not going to say anything.
Darn.
And I've shown the mock-ups to people.
Yeah.
And like even on business side, they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm currently working on this product," and they're like, "Well, that looks adorable," and I was like, "Yes," and it's So-Called Living branded.
Is it the fairy? It's the fairy with the wings.
It's a fairy you can slap.
Oh, you could totally make that fairy. What is it? It's like rubber, and you put like cornstarch in it, so you can like slap and then like throw it off the balcony. It's like splat.
Or maybe something that suction cups to your desk and you slap it and its head spins around.
Love it. We all need that for when those internet trolls come out. Like,
Yeah,
"Ugh."
just slap them. Be great.
Yeah,
And we'll emphasize it with some like built-in slap speaker sound, like kind of like the Nintendo Switch. When you put it in, it goes click. It does like a false click sound coming out of it. Same thing. You slap it, you hear this.
It just has like I don't know if it's motion censored or something inside of it that just makes that sound. That's hilarious. I love it. We could just have a brainstorm about merch.
Yeah, just produce merch. That would be great.
But yeah, kid stuff. I would love that. My kids are always like, "How old do I have to be to read your story?" And I was like, "You still need to be a little bit older."
36.
But they love, but they like what I'm doing. They just would love a kid version of it. So there's an opportunity there.
I'm just trying to figure out like what is the right age. Like,
I'm sorry. You need to do this. Oh my gosh. What? Any news on this? Oh, sorry. Continue. That was just between them.
What was I going to say? I just trying to figure out what is the right age, because like my son is like 3, and getting his attention for anything that's too complicated, it depends on the right story. But usually he likes those books where there's just a few words per page, right?
Yeah.
Not even if there's like 2 paragraphs, it'll be too much. He gets bored.
Right.
If it looks too much text on the page, he gets bored because he's 3. But I was like, is 3 years old my demographic, or am I looking older, like 10-year-old? So I got to nail that out. I have an idea of what the story is. It's just how I'm going to tell it.
My kids are 7, and then my other daughter is going to be 11 on Saturday. It's going to be her birthday. And they're voracious readers at this point, and they didn't used to be. You know what I mean? But now every night before bed, they're reading, and it's like that. I think the 10 to 11, they could really read a ton and absorb it, and they're into reading because now they're good at it. So that age, I think, is really good. 3 is kind of hard to write a book for. You know what I mean? Are they still into the cardboard toddler books at 3? You might need to scratch and sniff book.
Well, I was actually thinking of doing one of those like really thick, like hardcover books.
Yeah.
And that takes place in the so-called living world. Part of me was thinking is like, maybe I'll do something like that for like toddlers, and then I'll do something older for 10-year-olds. So
Lou, you're on point today.
Oh, I like it. There you go.
Half of the Pale Rider rocking horse.
This is turning into like a Shark Tank or Dragon's Den.
Yeah. Except the horse is in pieces, because that's what happens to this horse. So, this would be, I don't know about the rocking horse, but it's like you could put it together and then it falls apart again. That would be funny.
Do you remember those? They're like horses or giraffes that you squeeze the bottom and then they collapse.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
That's what you need.
Oh my gosh. Path of the Pale merry-go-round.
Just a thrill ride.
Bear on it. It's just, you can just go in a circle. You don't get to escape. Oh my God. We're having fun now. So no, go ahead.
No, I was saying, but other than that, and trying to figure out, I want to go to more shows, and I would like to go to more shows in the States, because like you guys have a lot of big shows there, and it's cool.
This is where I was going to go to next. So we were going to talk about you going to a show, but you need to go as like a spectator. I like that you brought cards, because you can do that and pass out cards with QR codes and make connections with people. I find that if I'm not selling, like if I'm at a con and it's slow, my next job is to go talk to everybody else and make new connections and network, right? And the other thing I'm doing is I'm taking notes on people's table setup, because I'm still fairly new as well. So when it comes to like there's a guy in Texas that's named Sam Vera. He does a kid's book. It's an all ages book called There's an Alien in My Toilet. Absolutely hilarious. And he's been doing this book for over a decade, right? He's been going to cons, and his table setup is just nuts. And I see him quite often because we're in the same circle. So he'll bring different things to different space. So if he knows he has a big space, he brings it all. But if he knows like we're going to set up in a comic book store, he brings like certain things. So I'm always taking notes from Sam Vera based on what he brings what does he bring? What does he think will sell to this crowd? Which shows is he going to? And then how does he set up to get people to his table? So, I mean,
we
and then this is the thing we've been talking about too. So Path of the Pale Ale, we're going to have to talk about it. I don't know, man. Hey, Timothy, nice to see you, man.
We make these comic book holders that I designed and my wife cuts in our laser machine.
What?
And they're these wooden things that display the comics. And there's, if you looked at the Kickstarter, when you were on the Kickstarter page, if you scroll down it, you'll see there's this like bunny motif. It's like the edges are all like bunny heads sticking out. So we designed these wooden things that had the big bunny at the top and all these bunny heads, and the books sit there. So it looks all these bunny heads are coming out the sides. So yeah, you see on the edges of these pages, little bunny heads. Bunnies. So that's what our boards look like, and our comics sit there, and the bunnies' heads are sticking out the side, and it says "So-Called Living" in the front. And it's all wood, so the books stand up nicely, and we cut them here ourselves. And we're making So-Called Living Christmas ornaments to sell at the Christmas market.
That's awesome.
So I designed them, and I don't have one here. They're upstairs. But yeah, I've designed them. Oh, hold on. I have it's a failed cut.
Oh, I see.
But so it's a failed cut. It's not finished. So if you notice how it's too dark because the detail is too tight, so it burnt. Yeah. So I've changed this. It looks a lot better now. And so you can kind of see the outline, but hold on. See that this here? That's a bunny ear, because a bunny sits in this space. I'm doing this backwards, using my brain. So there's a bunny that sits there. So this is a half foot ornament. So the bunny makes it kind of sits on top of it. And then the bunny's wearing a Santa hat. Aww. So it hangs like so. The bunny's, that blank space is taken up by a bunny. It's not this burnt and ugly. And then when you flip the back, it's going to have a Santa list status. And your status is nice or needs improvement. So parents can switch it. So parents can change it, so the kids can come down, take the ornament, flip it over, and be like, "What's my status today?" Oh, it
needs improvement. Bunny says I need to do chores.
Yeah, so I'm going to sell the nice ones individually, and then I'll have sets of the needs improvements and nice. And then I also have another set that I'm only going to make if ordered, because they take up a lot of wood. It's a 5-rank system, so it's like naughty to nice. So I have like, and it's like a snowflake rating on the back. Yeah. So you can see your kids improving. So basically it's kind of like Elf on the Shelf, where you kind of like, when they're not looking, you switch the ornament out. So then every morning they'd come down, flip it, and see what their status is.
That's cool. I was going to say, can we get rid of the Elf on the, if anybody knows me, I always post these. I hate the Elf on the Shelf. I hate it with a passion. Whoever came up with Elf on the Shelf should be slapped repeatedly, because I have 6 million things to do, and I got to remember to move this goddamn elf every night. And then I forget, and I wake up panicked at 5:30 and move this stupid elf.
That's exactly why I don't have the elf on my shelf.
I hate it. I hate it.
So this one's would be a lot easier. I don't have to figure out creative ways to put this place. I just switch it based on if he's being good or bad.
Nem says, don't let, oops, sorry, I pushed the button. Nem says, don't let my wife see those ornaments. She'll buy the "you lucky you still breathing" option.
you know what I just thought? It's good thing like this brown box over here is contains my wife's Christmas gift that I haven't wrapped yet. So it's a good thing that I never thought of this, but like behind this box, and actually inside that brown box and behind these black boxes are a bunch of her gifts that you can't see, but they're there. So that's funny.
Really, don't listen.
It was so close to spoiling everything.
She's in the chat. What are you doing?
So it's funny. No. So she's been instructed never to come to the basement, because that's where I record my, like, you can't see, it's a bit of a mess there because I'm getting ready for Christmas wrapping, but that chair, that's a gaming table, and that's my studio. Cool. That's my big studio light. That's where I record our Boarding and Coffee channel. This is a movie theater where I have like a movie screen over there. So
I miss having a basement.
No basement in your house?
No, I used to live in Michigan. There's basements in Michigan. We are currently in Texas. No basements in Texas.
No basements in Texas, eh?
And it's like, where do you put your stuff? It's like there's only so much attic you can use. You get really creative with the space in your garage is what happens, and then you suffer. There's just stuff everywhere. Yep. But I miss it. I miss it. Yeah.
right now.
Oh, the chat's blowing up, man. So let's
what's
see.
going
We
on?
do evil things to the. I usually try to find something heavy and squish the elf. That's my job. Just to kind of like make myself laugh because I hate this thing. Yeah, that's a normal parent thing to do with the elf. Forget it. Yeah. Purposely never invited that damn elf into my house. I wish.
I'm with you, Flip City.
That ain't right, Pops. This Christmas, Big James as the bear on the stair. Yeah. Maisie as a doll on the wall, which is terrifying. Get your so-called live zombie from Abercrombie. Get him today. See, he's still marketing.
But he is natural.
Cosmic elf? That would be scary. I don't know if I want to Google that.
I'm pretty sure there's anything you Google, if you look far enough, you'll find porn.
Yeah, pretty much. Someone has done something naughty with it.
Whatever.
Cleaning out your garage right now. Yeah, well, Christmas. Isn't that terrible where you're like, look at all this stuff I found.
I shoveled my driveway for 3 hours yesterday because we had our first snowfall, and in 6 hours got a foot and a half of snow. And so I went to bed. There was no snow in sight. I woke up and I was shoveling for 3 hours, and I shoveled half my driveway.
See, I think that's a worthy trade, right? Basement for no snow. I'm okay. I would trade a basement to not have snow. We don't get snow. We will get ice storms. Then they will melt in a couple days, and they don't plow the roads. They just shut everything down. I'm okay with that. If I have to put on boots and then bring my shoes with me, scrape my car, preheat, go to work, scrape my car, put on my boots, get in the car.
Yeah.
At that.
I work from home now, so it's not as bad.
Oh my God. But yeah,
But
I know. It's snow in 2 days.
Yeah, but it was terrible because we were like, oh, tomorrow we'll go do groceries, and we woke up and we were like, we can't even move the car.
No,
like there
no
is a
groceries
foot and a
today.
half of snow. Like we woke up, there was a foot and a half of snow on the car, and we were totally blocked in. And we're like, well, I guess we're eating whatever we have in the house.
We got canned food. We got ramen somewhere.
And we get some toast.
Do you Is there snow in Michigan right now, Pops? I didn't know if they got snow. I know like Pennsylvania got smashed. Like in Erie area. They got smashed.
See, something happened in 1976.
What? What happened? That was his first computer in 1976.
That's when I was born.
DoorDash. Shh, don't make him feel old. That's not nice.
I'm old.
My wife has vetoed ever going back to a snowy place ever again. We go surfing for Christmas. Yes, this is the correct answer. Yeah, you guys have 6 inches of snow. I'm sorry. Isn't that kind of early? Well, I guess it is December.
Yeah. And what's interesting is in the city we live in now, because we live in London, Ontario, and which is like 2 hours outside of Toronto.
Okay.
It's on a snow belt. So we get a lot of snow. It's like basically all the snow hits us. And on this end of the city versus where my in-laws live, they got 4 inches of snow. We've got 4 feet of snow. And it's in the same city. It's not that big a city, but it's like there's like a target on our house.
It's like the way that the jet stream goes or something. Yeah. It just snows over.
So it's crazy.
In Michigan, they have that too. They have like lake effect snow. So if you're next to the lake, you just get dumped on. It's just really bad. So again, Texas for the win.
You know what's great about Texas is I've been seeing a lot of these here. You guys have been following, not you specifically, but I know a lot of the Americans have been following the issues that have been going on in Canada. Our prime minister is an idiot. Our taxes are ridiculous. He keeps hiking everything. And so living here is a shit show right now. But anyways, where was I going with this? There was
You're like, that's the end. That's the end of that statement.
I know I lost it. I had something there and I was gonna go with it. What were we talking about?
Texas.
Texas, right? So there's all these videos of like the houses you can buy in Texas versus the houses you could buy here for the same dollar value.
Well, you got to be careful though, because our property taxes are super high.
I heard that because I have a niece that lives in Jersey, and for like $600,000. She bought this mansion of a house.
Yeah, you can get a big house for that dollar. Well, you used to before 2020. Now everything is because everybody came here.
Yeah.
Everybody vacated and they all came to North Texas because we had space and built houses. And like, it's just specifically our neighborhood, because we moved in 2019 and we were building a house in our neighborhood and we closed April of 2020, right? So the house was done and then they did the shutdown because they're done a month before, right? And so we didn't even know if we were going to be able to move in.
Well, I don't know how it is there, but when we were looking for a house during COVID.
Yeah.
Or around COVID, just before, just after, I don't remember. But we were looking for a house and we were like, oh, we should get a bigger house. Our house is a good size now, but we were just like, maybe we should see if let's check the market out, right?
Yeah.
And the pricing was ridiculous and the bidding is blind. I don't know if it's the same, but it's blind bidding. It's ridiculous. It was like
nuts. Well, the problem is that there was a wait list for all the builders for over a year.
Yeah.
So you couldn't build a new house in our sub. And then if you're buying something that someone already had occupied, the problem is that people were coming in from California, selling their California property and paying cash. So
yeah,
they
same
would
thing here.
outbid everybody. And it was like, we don't even need to see it. Just
everybody was coming from Toronto, selling their houses, their shitty houses for $1 million and buying a mansion here for the same price.
Yeah, so that's what we were getting too. And so now everything is so high. Our property tax. So we don't have state tax. We don't have a state tax here in Texas. When I was in Michigan, there was a state tax. So every time you would, your income, they would take out federal and state tax. But here in Texas, we don't. So the property taxes are super high to pay for the things that the state taxes would have. Yeah, right. Well, and so you can buy a house for cheaper, but then the property tax, our payment on our property tax is actually bigger than the more like on our mortgage for our house. The property tax is higher than our house payment. That's how nuts it is. That's crazy. And then the problem is now our insurance is up there too, because the insurance is based off of the property value. Mm-hmm. So your deductible for your house, and we have to replace our roof because we had this terrible hailstorm in March that just destroyed the roof. So we're in the process of doing that. So as you can imagine, that's not fun either. So it's like, yes, you can come, but it doesn't matter where you go these days. Everything's freaking expensive. Hey, I resemble that remark. Well, as you guys coming here, they freaking drove up all of our prices.
Everybody from Toronto is coming here, and
I did not say that. But there's seriously a text is saying that says, "Don't California my Texas," because so many people came.
The thing is, like, we put a bid on a house, and we overbid by from the asking price, we overbid by 100,000.
Wow!
And we're like, okay, let's do that, I guess. And then they're like, okay, they're doing a second round. I was like, okay, but who's in the lead? Like, what if I'm in the lead and I'm just bidding against myself? That's stupid.
But they didn't tell you?
No, they don't tell you. They're like, okay, we're doing a second round of bidding. Everybody get their hidden bids in, and you don't know what the bids are.
Well, that's dumb.
So it is dumb. So I was like,
I'm going to outbid myself.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, well, so we bid a little bit more. And I was like, I think this is dumb. And then we got outbid again because basically the house they were asking like 600 grand for the house.
Yeah.
It went for 930.
Oh my God.
Over. And that's all in secret. So somebody you could have bid against yourself. You had no idea. You could have had the first big bid. Yeah. And then you added another 100,000 for no reason, which you didn't need to because that's a stupid blind bidding system. It's ridiculous. I'm happy when I bought this house. I bought it in 2004, and it was I paid $235 for this house. Mm-hmm. And now the house is valued at somewhere between 800 to 900,000. It's ridiculous.
Crazy. So crazy.
Crazy. But and when I bid, nobody was bidding against it.
If you were to move, you'd have to pay that same amount on that house now. So it's like you still don't get ahead.
Yeah, the amount I pay for this house is a down payment for a new house now. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because people are like, oh, sell your house and just buy it. Buy it where?
Where? That's the question. I mean, you got to downsize, basically. Yeah. You can't buy the same or bigger with the same equity that you have in your house because everything's
gone mental. So
oh Lord. Well, Let's change the
Comics.
subject. I mean, it's time to start wrapping up. See, that 2 hours flies by,
Yeah.
man. Just a reminder, go check out So-Called Living. You can get it here. You're gonna sign up for the Second Chance campaign. Yeah, it's not really a second chance because it's already funded. I would call it a victory lap. It's a victory lap because they've already won, but this is your chance to get on board because there's no shop. You got to get it from here. So sign up for when this launches, and then you'll be able to get a copy of 3 and 4. Are you going to have a catch-up tier where people can get 1, 2, 3, and 4?
There's it's if you're curious of what this campaign is going to look like, you can look at the old Kickstarter campaign. It's going to be the exact same.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you'll be able to get a discounted bundle of like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can choose what if you want standard covers, all the elite covers, all the sexbot covers.
Gotcha.
I'm only, as far as digital goes, we only offer books 3 and 4 digital because you can get 1 for free from Global Comics, and you can also buy book 2 from Global Comics if you want.
Gotcha.
So it's that's why we don't offer it here. But if you buy the all-in tiers, then you'll get those digitals tossed in
anyway.
because the digital ones are always tossed in there anyways.
Gotcha.
So
also a reminder, Path of the Pale Rider issue numbers 1 through 6. We're going to be launching again in February. The pre-launch is here to sign up for. I will drop that link as well. But we'll be launching again in February. I got crazy things planned for you guys. Crazy things as usual. So, I mean, you got to love this Big James, big boy. Gilbert is doing some really funny stuff. I'm really quite amused some of the things he's turning out. You should see the next banner he's working on. But this was actually meant to be a sticker, but I thought he was so cute, we decided to put him up. So we got 18 followers. That'll definitely grow because we just launched this thing this week. So there it is. I have the link somewhere. Give me 1 second. Linky Loo. So if you guys want to sign up to be, and again, this is just sign up to be notified when we launch, which is, again, it's a couple months away. So it's a good thing to sign up now. So that way, when we get there, you don't have to try and remember. Even though if you've watched the show, I'm going to tell you. Because you know me, I don't shut up. I'm on all the shows. I do all the things, and I'm on the social media. So this
you get 19 followers now.
Oh, woohoo! You know, it's really funny because a lot of people put stock into that. Like people following. I usually only get like 70 people that follow, and then I get like 120 people that back. So it is what it is. So. I mean, my people are well informed anyway because I do the show every week, and then I'm on Anyone, and then I do Killer Karen, and then I'm on everybody else's show. So if you follow me, I'm going to tell you when we're launching because that's what I do. So any chance for a Fund My Comic campaign? I'm thinking about it. A ton of my people are on Kickstarter. Have you thought about doing anything on Fund My Comic?
I have actually started an account. I was looking into that.
Oh, there you go.
But I'm also working on something that if it works out, I'm not at liberty to say what it is yet, but I'm working with
Canadian came out right there. He said out.
I'm not at liberty to say yet, but it's with a big company, and I'm working with them on something that if it works out, it could benefit all indie creators.
Ooh. That's awesome. I can't wait to hear more about that. And remember, you're always welcome to come back on the show, Mark. So whenever you're getting ready to do your next big thing or you got something to promote, come on back. We'll talk about it. Absolutely. This was a blast. And thank you again.
Thanks for having me on. It was fun talking to you.
Thank you. And I really enjoyed you. I love your comedy too. I think you're super funny.
Thank
you. This was one of those shows where I laughed a lot. So appreciate you coming on. Well, everybody, thank you. Found My Comic is a good place. Yeah, to have an open store. Sorry, I'm clicking on things and it won't go. I have about 10 other network shows you can be on as well, Mark, which is true. We have a ton of shows here on the network. So we'll definitely get you on some more. It is a great looking comic. 100%.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very cool. All right, people, that's it. Next week, I got more indie creators coming on. I think it's another Canadian. Oh, I think it's Ray. Ray's coming on next week. He's going to be talking Madcaps and Madcaps 2. So maybe you know each other. I'm just kidding. That's totally uncalled for. I'm just kidding. That was my Karen coming out. But yeah, thank you again for coming on. We'll see everybody next week. Kiss your babies, be awesome to each other, and we'll catch you later. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
It's Flip City Magazine, The Parodies, Special Edition, with savage send-ups of The Walking Dead, Star Trek Picard, Stranger Things, The Mandalorian, Guardians of the Galaxy, and more from the first 4 years of Flip City. Get Flip City The Parodies free when you subscribe in print at flipcitymag.com. The world's best satire magazine, and never, ever woke.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has